Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Have you ever felt?
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Have you ever felt?
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What is up, everybody, and welcome to FPL Today Live. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for all of the likes already on the stream. Much appreciated. Let me know if there are any issues with the stream, and let's start talking FPL. We will start off, you're seeing the Discord screen right now, but we will start off, first of all, with a quick recap of my side. If we can quickly bring that up. There we go. And of course, saying hello to everyone in the chat. We've got Mason Warren, Supersport Gaming, Thomas McCarthy, FPL Booner, thanks for joining, One Rovers Vlogs, Britton Woodruff, Simon Semen Anderson, Valis98, Nasu, and Omar. I won't try to say your name, the end of your name. However, what am I drinking? I might disappoint you guys here because I'm drinking Dr. Pepper. There's nothing alcoholic in this today. I'm taking it easy. So apologies if you're expecting something alcoholic. Me and the wife are cutting down on alcohol this month, just because we've got stuff to do. I've got videos to put out and so on. So we are being sensible for once. Actually, I love Dr. Pepper, but it's not as satisfying as a beer or a cider. Anyway, we'll quickly recap my side because I haven't done the video for it yet, but it should be up tomorrow. We are currently on 216 points after scoring 56 points in Gameweek 4. That puts us at just over 2 million, at 2,062,000, which isn't ideal. It's not as high as I would like to be. People asking for shots already. If you didn't catch me on the FPL Elite stream, me and Steve-O ended up doing shots. So yeah. That was interesting. Don't think there'll be any shots tonight, to be fair. Please don't super chat saying do a shot, because I don't think I've got any shots. I might have to shot beer if you do that, which would be... I've never done that before, to be fair. Anyway, back to how my team is actually doing. So, we had some good scores from defence, which is a first. All of this talk about going heavy in defence hadn't really been paying off. And then 6 points, 11 points and 5 points from my defenders. So that was a bonus. We had De Bruyne also getting 13 points, Salah getting 6 points. And that was pretty much it for the point scorers in my side, as Norwich failed to do very well against West Ham, not scoring a single goal. Pretty sure I said if they can't score against West Ham, then Pookie isn't legit. And then he goes and does exactly that. Sterling was my captain. Sterling's underlying stats were pretty poor for a team that won 4-0 against Brighton. De Bruyne looked good though, and I'm hoping it was just a one-off for Sterling. Hopefully the next fixture against Norwich, Sterling can do some damage. Then up front, I swear I just jinxed strikers. Barnes, no goals. Pookie, no goals. But Barnes was against Liverpool. Pookie was the one I really expected to score in this one. Delafeu I was hopeful about, but I wasn't expecting anything. Pookie, I joined the Pookie party and I watched the Vardy party be a lot better. So, we've still got a lot of catching up to do, but we will jump to the Discord just to answer some streamer questions. Like an idiot, I completely forgot this was the stream question section, so I answered them anyway by type, but I'll go into a little bit more detail. We had a question from Kennedy, is Harry Wilson worth taking a risk on? For me, it's still wait and see because he's come in because Daniels is injured, seemingly. Now, don't get me wrong, Harry Wilson looks a great player, and if I was the manager there, Eddie Howe, I would keep playing him. I don't see why you'd drop someone that is putting in the performances or scoring the goals he's scoring. So, if you wanted to try and get in ahead of the crowd, maybe that's a risk you're looking to take. For me, it's still a wait and see. I'm worried that he may not be that nailed on. But if he is nailed on, he looks like a great way into that Bournemouth side. We've then got a question from Thomas McCarthy. Thank you so much, by the way, Thomas McCarthy, for becoming a patron of the channel. Much appreciated. You've been a supporter of the channel for ages. I know you have. You've been in so many of my streams. So much appreciated you joining the Patreon. He says, I don't know if I made a mistake substitution in De Bruyne and then sending out Sigurdsson. Now, for me, I think De Bruyne is probably a must-own. The way he's playing at the moment, I just think Kevin De Bruyne could have an absolute killer season. So I had to bring him in. It was that simple. I think you've made a wise decision there. Everton looked better attacking-wise with Iwobi and Keane starting, which could potentially open things up for the likes of Sigurdsson. But potentially Iwobi and Keane are better ways into that Everton side. Again, it's a wait and see. But I think right now, De Bruyne isn't a wait and see. De Bruyne is a bring into your side right now. So I'll definitely agree with bringing De Bruyne in. Bryce asks, it would be interesting to compare Harler and Abraham, which I have already prepared. So we have it on the screen for you now. Thank you for the question, Bryce. And we have Sebastian Haller versus Teemu Pukki. Now, we've got to remember less minutes for Haller, so less points per game, but potentially he could have had some more returns if he'd played in the second fixture for West Ham. Now, what really stands out to me when we look at the shots here, look at where Pukki's shots are from and look at where Harler's shots are from. So Pukki has shots from these areas, just outside the 6-yard box. Decent expected goals on the ones he scored, or some of the ones he scored, 0.34, 0.31. But he's also taking shots generally not from inside the 6-yard box, whereas Harler from inside the 6-yard box, higher expected goals on them. And strictly speaking, I think if we actually go and check expected goals, Harler is only just outperforming what's expected of him. He scored 3 goals, he's expected to score 2.89. Pukki has been expected to score 1.45 and he's scored 5. Now that could just mean he's really good at finishing. But Harler looks the safer bet purely because the chances he's getting are more likely to be converted into chances. Now what you do get with Pukki is also an additional assist threat, which means if you put expected goal involvement into the equation, you're probably looking at Teemu Pukki just coming lower than Sebastian Haller. If that was the case, Pukki being slightly cheaper, if he did match what's expected of him, might still just be worth it. However, if they were the same price right now, Sebastian Haller for me is the safer option. But the thing is, you're just not getting the attempted assists from Sebastian Haller. And as far as the heat map goes, I don't think there's much difference there. You've got a hot spot for Haller right in the middle of the 6-yard box, which is a plus. And then you can see that Pukki is not necessarily a player that sticks to that very centre-forward, middle, in the box. I really butchered saying that. But yeah, I would say that's not... Get my words together. I would say Pukki is the kind of striker that roams more than Haller is. Harler's going to stay in the box and potentially be in the right place at the right time to score goals. I think we just saw in the chat as well, wants an Abraham versus Haller comparison. So if we change Pukki for Abraham, so we see again very similar points per game, but less minutes this time for Tammy Abraham. If we look at the shots, again you're seeing Haller just has more shots with a high expected goals. Now again, Abraham, if he is as good as he could potentially be, might just keep scoring these kind of chances from this sort of area. But Harler's chances are more likely to result in goals, and I think we'll probably see the same in the expected goals compared to goals. Abraham is outperforming his expected goals, but again, with the 0.81 there added on, Tammy Abraham, what's the price difference? 7.2 to 7.5. I'd say Harler's probably a better option, just because there isn't much in the price. As for the heat map, I'd say the heat map's a lot better for Abraham than it would be for the Pukki. But if it was a Pukki comparison, I wouldn't say there's too much difference there. I'd suggest Harler's more involved in the build-up play, but will still get into the right areas, whereas Abraham seems to be a real focal point up front for them, looking to get in behind the lines. Abraham does offer attempted assists as well, but I don't think he's got an assist just yet. Okay, back to the Discord, just to make sure we finish answering these questions. Yep, that's every question covered from the Patreon Discord. So if you are interested in becoming part of that, like Thomas McCarthy has, it's only $1. Go to patreon.com/FPL today. You can join up. You get access to this Discord where you get priority questions answered on the live streams. And of course, we have the monthly FPL game and the season-long FPL game. And Manager of the Month for August was Jeff Holt, which I'm sure a lot of you know who he is. Jeff Holt is the first winner of the Manager of the Month with FPL Today. Jeff, I'll be getting in contact with you to sort out your prize. And September's code has been released in the Discord and will be released on the website, patreon.com/FPL Today shortly. But let's get into the questions from the stream. And you know what? Because I'm feeling generous, the last 15 minutes of this stream probably going to be Rate My Team. So don't tweet me or don't tag me on Instagram just yet. But when I say to do so, feel free to do that and I'll rate some teams quickly and make or suggest some transfers for you. What I was also thinking I could do today is on Fantasy Football Fix, just completely pick a new side and show you the players I'd probably think about putting into the team. But anyway, questions, lads, get them in the chat. So we got a lot of debate going on about Harler and Abraham. Zigzag prefers Harler. Vasils 98 prefers... No, again, looks like Harler because he says Abraham not even nailed. Tahir thinks Abraham is a better pick because he plays for a team who will finish higher. Ayew versus Che Adams. That's a weird comparison. Wasn't expecting to be asked that. All right, so we'll compare Ayew and Che Adams, and then Zinchenko or Otamendi. We'll get those done. So we've got Zinchenko and Otamendi. I mean, I believe Zinchenko's going to come out on top here. I could be wrong. Going to struggle to find Otamendi, aren't I? There he is. I mean, if we look at heat maps alone, I think that answers your question. If you look at heat map, Zinchenko is much more likely to be involved in anything attacking. As far as shots, though, the shots are coming from better areas for Otamendi. A 0.28 expected goals there by Otamendi, whereas Zinchenko, you're looking at long shots, none of which is over 0.05. However, attempted assists, this is where I think Zinchenko is likely to get points. These are the kind of passes that Man City can convert into goals, and I think Zinchenko's been unlucky not to get one assist so far this season. And it shows in the expected assists much higher for Zinchenko, expected goals much higher for Otamendi. I just feel like with Laporte's injury, was it Fernandinho that came on in the last game? And they say they've been trying him out as a defender. I'd be slightly worried there because Laporte was the nailed-on centre-back. And to be honest, apart from that, I'm not sure any defender is nailed on apart from Laporte. So that would be a worry for me. And then we had Ayew versus Che Adams, I believe. Ayew, I actually have looked at myself just because of how cheap he is, to be fair. So Ayew actually on 20 points scored so far. And then Che Adams is on... if I can find him... Okay, have I just missed him completely? Oh yeah, there he is. 8 points. So Che Adams has actually had more attempts on goal. From better areas of the pitch, to be fair, with a high expected goals. Ayu's chances haven't come from the best areas. As far as attempted assists, Shea Adams' attempted assists shouldn't even count. What on earth's that? What on earth is this assist? I wish I could actually watch the game now. Is there any way I could watch that as a highlight? Does it show me that? That'd be sick if I could see what that assist actually resulted in. I think I've broken the thing. But yeah, I don't know what that was. An assist to Redmond. What, did Redmond run the whole pitch? That's all I can think, because I don't think Redmond shot from there. But if you can see, Jordan Ayew's assists look like much better chances than these ones from Shea Adams, because they're actually passes into the box. As far as heat map, Shea Adams looks slightly better with a hot spot in the actual penalty box, whereas Ayew doesn't really have it there. But neither really jump out as me as great options, but Ayew, just because of his price, could be an enabler, which is why I like the idea of Ayew. Because 20 points for 5.1 million, I like Ayew. But that's only if you need a cheap forward. You guys love the comparisons, but there was a question somewhere here I want to get to. Which defence has my attention for the following game week? So, if we go to the fixture analyzer and go defence difficulty, he says for the next few game weeks. So I'd go to the next international break. So that's game week 5 to game week 8. Burnley have a suggested very good fixture lineup for defence. Brighton Hove Albion away, Norwich at home, Aston Villa away, Everton at home. Arsenal, I wouldn't risk Arsenal, they just generally concede. Do like the look of Burnley. I'm not sure about the Spurs side at the moment. Man City, of course, but I think they're always capable of clean sheets, as are Liverpool. Chelsea with that Liverpool game, you probably wouldn't be bringing them in right now. Southampton for the next two, Sheffield United and then Bournemouth. Although both are capable of scoring goals. Sheffield United with Southampton and Everton. Potentially you could be looking at 2 clean sheets there before the Liverpool one. Bournemouth don't get clean sheets. Brighton with Burnley and then Newcastle. That's 2 fixtures where I think Brighton could get something. So, long term, Burnley look like the best solution until the next international break. I think you maybe look at the likes of Eric Peters there. I mean, Tarkowski and me always will get chances in the box. But I just don't think they convert enough for it to really be worthwhile. Right. Britton Woodruff. Do we move back to 2 times Liverpool defence with Laporte out? Well, of course, the week I don't have 2 Liverpool defenders is the week they keep a clean sheet. That's pretty much my luck so far this season. I do not like doubling up on defence just because 1 goal wipes out 2 of your defenders' clean sheets. Whereas I feel like maybe it's the conservative side of me prefers to spread my bets a little bit and hopefully pick up points from various areas. This week it worked out for me. Whilst those that doubled up on Liverpool defence would have had your Robertsons, your Van Dijks, your Trent Alexander-Arnold, maybe your Matip, I believe he started. That cost more than my Trent and Zinchenko, who managed to get a clean sheet. So I got the points from Trent. I believe he's the best attacking threat out of those 2 defenders. And then I got clean sheets from Zinchenko and I got an assist from Digne. So I spread my bets. I got lucky. I picked the players I think are either best value, Zinchenko in Man City, or the players I think can get attacking returns as well as a clean sheet, Digne and Trent. So I don't think I'm going to go back to double defence. It's never worked for me really. And it's not something I'm eager to jump back into. So I'm not saying it's a bad move, because if you had it this game week, it would have paid off for you. But I just don't like doing it. West Ham defenders, I just don't like their chances of clean sheets. Masuaku's assist makes me feel like potentially I should look at him. I just don't know if he's got enough attacking threat. Masuaku or Diop? I think we can look at Masuaku and Diop, and then hopefully I'll come to a better conclusion on Masuaku. Okay, so, I mean, as far as attacking threat, heat map just shows clearly that Masuaku gets further forward more often. As far as shots on goal, Diop's are a lot better positioned than Masuaku's. But then attempted assists, apart from one, I'm presuming that was a knockdown from Diop. Those are the type of assists you're more likely to get something from, and it's more likely to happen regularly. But 3 attempted assists in 4 games. Expected assists of 0.99, so he's expected 1 assist every 4 games. Is that worth it with a West Ham side? I don't think you're going to keep many clean sheets. You're looking at about 9 assists in a season, 7 to 9. If he can keep that up, and I'm not 100% sure he can, I wouldn't be jumping on Masuaku. If the fixtures aren't awful, then maybe he's worth a punt on him for a little bit. Be nice if up and coming fixtures worked, but they are not. But yeah, to be fair, I don't particularly like either of them. Just because West Ham kept 1 clean sheet, I don't particularly like their chances of keeping any more. They want a Trent versus a Robbo comparison. I mean, I can tell you because I look at this all the time. Well, I used to anyway. I believe Trent is a much better attacking option than Robertson, and I think those attempted assists show you why. I mean, ignore that one. But if we look at all of these, look at how many attempted assists he's had, look how many are going into this box, and then look at Robertson in comparison. I just don't feel like he's as likely to get as many assists as Trent this season. As far as shots, pretty equal. Nothing too different. Actually, less passes for Trent, which is a surprise. And less touches. Has he played less minutes? No, they played both the same amount of minutes. But yeah, you're looking at expected goals is higher for Trent. Expected assists much higher for Trent. So I just say Trent is the better option. And right now, not much can convince me otherwise. Any thoughts on McGinn, keep or sell? Now for me, McGinn is someone that interests me, and it's the price point that is of big interest. Because at 5.6, that is a very cheap player who could get some attacking returns. Now to me, it's a toss-up between him and Mason Mount, and I know Mason Mount blanked last game week. The issue is, of course, 6.4 million or 5.6. That's a difference of 0.8 million. Mount has better, or I'd say this is the best chance out of them all, 0.47, which of course McGinn scored. But Mount has scored 2 goals from these areas. Attempted assists, Mount also has more attempted assists. McGinn's attempted assists aren't awful. But if we actually scroll down to what's expected, Mason Mount is higher. Actually, expected assist, McGinn's higher. Isn't much difference. So if that was to continue for this season, I'd say potentially McGinn could be better value. But, of course, Chelsea are really gung-ho in the first half of the match and seem to be scoring goals in that first half. So I'd look at it more likely that the goals will continue at Chelsea than they will at Aston Villa. So for me, Mason Mount, definitely someone I'm very eager to get into my side. The issue is, of course, the price. Do I captain Aguero for next game week? Will he play the full match? That's the issue with Aguero. I think the issue with Aguero is you just don't know if Aguero will definitely play because Jesus is there. So I would say, I feel like Aguero plays if he can. So I wouldn't be against captaining him. There's just a risk there. And you have to be aware of that risk. But season long, Aguero is always going to be a decent captaincy choice. I want a De Bruyne versus Salah comparison. That would be interesting, because if De Bruyne's anywhere near Salah, there's an argument you could drop him. Okay, so Salah, of course, as heat map, just looks a little bit more attacking, but you'd expect that. Shots-wise, they're not too dissimilar shots-wise. Salah is going to have more shots in the box, you'd expect that. And De Bruyne's shots, if you're wondering why the area is good, but the colour isn't green, it's because sometimes the angle that the player's standing, the players are between the attacker and the goal, the defenders. So that is why some of these, even though they're in decent areas, aren't getting as high as, say, this one is from Salah, because Salah was probably through on goal here with no defenders between him and the goalkeeper. Just in case you were wondering. As far as attempted assists, De Bruyne has, of course, a lot more, and I would expect him to have much higher expected assists, which he does. 2.42 to 0.47, then 2.31 to 0.84. Now, the issue is goals are worth more than assists. If things were equal, De Bruyne would definitely be worth it over Salah. But because goals are worth more, season long, unless the chances improve for De Bruyne, I think Salah will outscore him. It's just whether I think he'll outscore him by enough. Salah's a great captaincy option. That's the issue. Whereas I know De Bruyne would have been the right captaincy call for me this game week, but I feel like he won't consistently be a good captaincy call compared to Salah. Well, we've got 100 people watching, so thank you everyone for joining the stream. Much appreciated. If you are new to the channel, please hit that like button, that subscribe and that notification bell. This is YouTube, you know what to do. We want cheap defenders, 4.5 million defenders, so we will go back to my main live screen. And if you're wondering where I'm getting all of these stats from, it is from partners of the channel, Fantasy Football Fix. And we've got a custom stats builder. So I've built these stats tables myself with the website. And I've got budget, mid-price, premium. And then I've got goalkeepers, defenders, midfielders, forwards. So I can look at them via position, or I can look at them via price range. So if we have a look in defenders, and I believe I can modify it actually, and get rid of certain price points. If we use all game weeks, and we go maximum player cost, if we go 4.9, 4.8, just to catch any price rises, or price rises, let's see what we get. Tension mounts as my internet struggles to load up a website. Wow, this is taking ages. That's because too many people watching me. Slowed my internet down. Okay, here we go. So, highest point scorer in that price bracket right now is Burnley defenders and Lundstrom and Mings. But what do the underlying stats say? So far for clean sheets, Ward has been your best bet. The defender with the most shots in that price range is Lundstrom with 5 shots on goal. O'Connell, another Sheffield United defender with 4 shots. Peters with 3. Baldock with 3, another Sheffield United defender. Diop with 3. Byrne with 3. Gilbert with 3. So Gilbert potentially an option. He's dropped down to 4.4 million. And if I'm correct, I believe he started the last 2 games. Yeah, he started the last 2 games, so potentially Gilbert is an option. What are Villa's fixtures, actually? Apart from that Arsenal game, a nice next 5. Could be options there with Gilbert. Oh, where was I? I've lost myself. There we go. Clicking through. If we take shots from inside the box is more important. O'Connell is actually higher than Lundstrom, and Diop is up there. Shots on target, Lundstrom again, Diop, and Sace, but that's a rotation risk at Wolverhampton. And as for big chances, again, Lundstrom and Sace. Wow. Hopefully he doesn't come up to it. He's going to come up highest on expected goals, isn't he? Yes, he is. Adam Smith also quite high for expected goals at 0.7. And then as far as attempted assists, we've got Kiko Firmino, Lowton, El Mohammadi, Lundstrom still up there with 3. And shots resulting on assists resulting on shots on target. Kiko Firmino again really high up there. Masuaka up there as far as assists resulting on shots on target, as is Eric Peters. And we already talked about Burnley. Fixtures looking decent. And then expected assists, Masuaka is highest. But I mean, if you don't have Lundstrom, at 4.2 million, he is still incredible value right now. Cheers, Ad Whitfield. It's good to be streaming. Thoughts on starting Cantwell and McGinn? Now, to be honest, I have Cantwell and I have looked at McGinn. So, my issue just is, do I really want to start 2 cheap midfielders like that? I mean, Cantwell wasn't awesome in the game just gone against West Ham, in a game I'd expected Norwich to be more attacking. Okay, so Cantwell hasn't had that many shots on goal. He's had 4. He's had 1 in a really good area with 0.52 expected goals. Those aren't too bad, 0.16. As far as McGinn, again, 1 really good chance which he did convert. So they've both got a goal apiece. As far as assists, Cantwell has 2. If we look at the assists, I'd suggest Cantwell's assist looks slightly better. And doesn't actually look like Cantwell plays that more advanced than McGinn. Expected goals, pretty similar. Expected assists, slightly higher for Cantwell. I'd say Cantwell at his price could just be a budget enabler, who if you want to start in a game, Norwich could pick up some wins in certain places. But yeah, I'm not sure about having both as starters. That's my issue. I want Mount. That's the player I want. Because that's the player I feel like has something to prove and is really pushing himself. I can't really see myself also going McGinn in the same starting 11. Zip-Zag, if you want to get involved with my Discord, it is part of the Patreon, which is $1 a month to join. But then you do get slightly more access to me. You get to ask me questions throughout the week. And then we have separate mini leagues for that as well. There is a link in the description to my Patreon, FPL Today. So if you want to join, it's completely up to you. But of course, you can just join in on the streams and ask your questions through here. Tom Green, thoughts on Dan James? I like Dan James. I'm starting to consider him, even though generally I don't like the look of that Man United side. Because again, Daniel James is a player that has something to prove. A bit like Mount. And I believe Daniel James hasn't gone up in price like Mount has. Because people have been looking at the likes of Martial and so on. So, heat map wise, pretty similar. Daniel James not really on any set pieces, which is why there's no heat maps right in the corner. As far as shots, he's only just behind. But I'd suggest Daniel James is getting better chances, potentially, than Mason Mount is. As far as attempted assists, that's where Mount is doing slightly better. Daniel James has had 2 attempted assists. I'd expect a bit more, to be fair. Daniel James does just beat out Mason Mount for expected goals. Mount doesn't beat James that highly for expected assists, though. Even though if we actually have a look at attempted assists, just 2 times James has tried an attempted assist, they've been quite good chances created, which is interesting. As far as fixtures, the Man United have a better run of fixtures. I mean, both sides are dropping points, though, is the issue. But Chelsea have better fixtures. Wolves, Liverpool, Brighton, Hove Albion, Southampton. Actually, sorry, let's look at attacking difficulty. So, Man United apparently are more likely to score goals with their next opponents. Leicester, West Ham, Arsenal, Newcastle. And then Chelsea have Wolves, Liverpool, Brighton, Hove Albion, Southampton. So I do really like Daniel James. Am I completely sold on him yet? Probably not, unfortunately. I would like to be, don't get me wrong, I would like to be. But I just... yeah. Something stops me from going for those Man United players. Yeah, sorry Zipzag, unfortunately, when you have 103 people watching, I do miss questions. Anyway, guys, now, 42 minutes into the stream. If you want me to rate your side, then feel free to @ me on Twitter. And that is, if we go to my profile, @JNOFPL, _FPL. Or do feel free to tag me in a photo on Instagram, JNO_FPL. And then your team should come up in tagged here. Hopefully. Although we tried this with Instagram before and it wasn't as good. So get your teams in if you want me to rate them. Let's see how quick some of you boys can be. And then we will probably have a look at the Manager of the Month's team right at the end of the stream, Jeff Holt, from our Patreon League. Maybe I should have asked one more question before I did this. So we'll answer one more question while we wait. How about Trossard? Trossard is posting some good underlying stats, to be fair. I do really like the looks of Trossard. What I will say about him is I'm still slightly worried about his game time as we get Thomas McCarthy's team coming in. Don't get me wrong, I feel like he's been brought in to be a very important player for them. It's just that first game of the season when Pascal Gross played first. And I feel like there might be people that are better options for me than Trossard. Zipzag, right now we're going to move on to the Rate My Team section. So, apologies if I have missed anyone's question. Unfortunately, a lot of people are asking questions, so I won't be able to get to every single one. We are now moving on to the Rate My Team section. So, we have some teams coming up on Twitter. There we go, they're popping up now. So, we'll start off with Thomas McCarthy's side. So, we have Adrian in goal. Van Dijk, again, that's a double up in defence. I'm not too keen on it. but it isn't an awful pairing, Adrian and Van Dijk. We have Diop, Kelly, Mings and Zinchenko. I think Mings could be a bit of a bonus point magnet. Kelly, I'm pretty sure, is your enabler, defensive enabler, quite cheap. Diop, I'm just not sold on West Ham's defence. As far as the midfield, I don't think anyone can argue with Sterling, Salah and De Bruyne. As far as up front, right now, just because Pukki's had one game doesn't mean I'm going to turn on him. I still think Pukki could offer a lot this season. A little bit more worried than I was just because his expected goals isn't as high as some other strikers. Jamie Vardy, pretty much a proven goal scorer in this league, so I can't argue with that at all. Perez would be one I'd be thinking of getting rid of. Then Donker, again, rotation risk. I think Cantwell is a better option than Donker. And I think Ayew is a good, cheap striker to have on your side. So overall, a decent side. I like the look of that side. We've got George Wade, and I'll go through them quite quickly just because hopefully get through as many of these as possible. Pope, can't argue with that. Like the defence, that's a strong defence. Van Dijk, Walker and Digne. The midfield, again, I can't argue with. McGinn, Salah, De Bruyne, Sterling and Mount. Barnes and Pukki up front. Lundstrom. If I could have got to this team quick enough and not be priced out, that might be what my team looks like. Because I think those three midfielders are very important. You've got two good, cheap midfielders there. And then Pukki and Barnes both on form. We've got Shawnee's side. We've got Pope, Van Dijk, Digne, Zinchenko. Apart from Van Dijk, where I've got TAA, same defence, so like the look of that. I'm not sold on Ceballos yet, purely because he didn't play in the London derby, but I like the other three midfielders. You have managed to get Aguero in your side, though, which I think is important. If you don't have Sterling, I think you have Aguero. Then Hala and Pukki, I think that's a great front three. Hayden is a decent cheap midfielder. Lundstrom, of course, important figure this season. And then Rico. We've got FPL Fiaco. Pickford in goal, can't argue with that. He could be an important player this season. Just, I don't like spending that much on goalkeepers. Maitland-Niles, I'm just not secure on Arsenal's defence at all. Emerson, I do like Emerson as a shout. I've not brought him in myself yet, but I do like him as a look. But Chelsea just seem to concede a lot in the second half. Digne and Van Dijk I can't argue with. Midfield, see, you've got Aubameyang, so I like Aubameyang as a striker. I just really feel like tripping up on City is important this season. But can't argue with De Bruyne, Salah, McGinn, Pukki, Hala or Aubameyang. Trossard, decent option to be fair to have to bring in if you don't like someone else's fixtures. Then Donker, I think Cantwell is a better option than Donker is. We've got Quality FPL. That's nice. We've got, I'm assuming Pope's a starter. Digne, Van Dijk, Zinchenko, Lundstrom. Can't argue with that defence. Kelly's gone up in price. I wish I brought Kelly in instead of Rico. Salah, Sterling, De Bruyne, same as me. James, I like that as a differential pick. Cantwell, Pukki, Hala, Barnes. Again, I like that side. If I'd got there quicker, that might be the side I'd have. And then we have Blades Attack. We've got Ryan, Digne, Robertson, Zinchenko. That's a very strong defence. That probably did very well for you in Gameweek 4, I'm imagining. Then you've got Salah, De Bruyne, Sterling. Like that as a front three, midfield three, and then Callum Wilson, Pukki. Callum Wilson's been really consistent. I think a lot of people only got off of him because they were trying to spend money elsewhere. Then Donker, if you can stretch to Cantwell, I think it's a better option. And then, yeah, I would only really do anything about these two if you didn't have moves to make anywhere else. That's Greenwood and Chong. And then on Instagram, do feel free to follow me on there. Apparently I have been tagged in a new photo because I got a notification. It's just about finding it. Is it this one? Is it this one? I think this is why I shouldn't bother with Instagram. Because that was ages ago. Yeah, maybe Instagram just isn't worth it for me. Unless... Here we go. There we go. Manager FPL on Instagram. I managed to find it eventually. We've got Edison in goal, Wan-Bissaka. I'm not fond of Man United's defence yet, to be fair. Digne, Robertson, Lundstrom, like those other three defenders. Kiko Firmino is one that not a lot of people are looking at, and he did show up quite well in the underlying stats for cheap defenders. Salah, Sterling, De Bruyne, good front midfield three. Wesley, someone people don't have. Pookie and Barnes. I like that. Cantwell, again, I think is a good midfield budget enabler. Would I go for two cheap defenders over two cheap midfielders? Probably. But that's one of the only few things I see about that side that I'm not overly fond about. And we'll just check no one else has come through with anything. And then any more scenes here? We've got Nasu with Ryan, Alexander-Arnold, Lundstrom, Mina and Digne. Double up on Everton. Not something I would lean towards doing myself. But Sterling, De Bruyne, Mane, which allows you the likes of Son, Mount, Pookie. Spurs, I just worry about Spurs right now. There's something doesn't feel right there. I like Soyuncu as a choice of defender at Leicester. Wickham and Martinelli, they're okay as budget enablers. But yeah, there's something about Spurs right now I just don't trust, which is why I don't have any of them. I plan to get Otamendi in for Mina and Pope for Ryan. I think I'd like that team more if you did that. And then we have, who's the name of the team? Jefferson, Van Dijk. We've got Ryan and Button, Digne, Alexander-Arnold, Van Dijk, Otamendi. Again, that defence would have probably done pretty well for you. Gameweek 4. McGinn, Salah, Sterling, De Bruyne. Again, Cantwell, I think, is a better option there. You've got Pookie and Barnes. So yeah, I like that side as well. Decent looking side. And I think, I was going to say we'll leave it there, but Polly's has got his side in. Ryan, Otamendi, Digne, Van Dijk, Tarkowski. That could work out well for you if Burnley do well with their next fixtures. That's a strong midfield as well, to be fair. Son, De Bruyne, Sterling, Salah. If Spurs can find their form again, that's a pretty decent side. Ceballos, I've already said, not too fond of. We've gone for two cheap forwards. Going rid of Wickham with Pookie as your main forward. I think this season may be a season where there are some good strikers, unfortunately. Which might mean this whole talk about 4-5-1 or 5-4-1 may not be as prevalent as we thought it would be. I was one of them as well. I thought I'd only need one striker, and there seems to be plenty of good striking options at the moment. So guys, thank you so much for joining the stream. I think I'm going to leave it there. Oh no, we were going to look at Thingy's side actually. And I think I'll leave my wild card for another stream. I plan to stream a lot more, guys. So we're going to leave me doing a potential fake wild card for another stream. We will look at the FPL Today Patreon Season League. Jeff Holt won with 252 points for the month of August, putting him at an overall rank of 207,238. And he currently has Pope, Van Dijk, Digne and Zinchenko, Cantwell, Sterling, Mane, and De Bruyne with Son as well. And then we've got Barnes and Pookie. But if we have a look at his game week history, did he have any amazing game weeks? 85 points in the first game week set him up pretty well for this. Triple captain played, first game of the season, getting lots of points. 36 points on Mohamed Salah. Got a clean sheet on Laporte, got a clean sheet on Digne and Van Dijk. Van Dijk scored, didn't he? Ryan getting a clean sheet. De Bruyne getting some points. Wilson getting some points. So a great start for him, catapulted him to manager of the month of August. So congratulations, Jeff. Great start to your season. A lot better than mine, at least, anyway. And guys, thank you so much for joining in the stream. I hope you have enjoyed it. I plan to stream a lot more. It'll probably be around this time most nights. If I do have the day off, I will try and stream during the day as well, but that is something, of course, that's got to work around my children. My daughter will be going back to school. However, she is now full-time at school, the older one, so potentially that means some streams earlier for some of you guys that don't necessarily live in the UK could be a possibility. Quickly, just some admin before we do leave. If you do want to support the channel in any way, check out all the links in the description down below, including the Patreon if you want to be involved in the Discord, which is at the beginning of the stream, where I answer my Discord Patreon guys their questions at the beginning of the stream, as well as the Manager of the Month monthly league and the season-long league for some prizes. And then we also have the two sponsors of the channel. We've got Fantasy Football Fix, which is where I got all of the stats you saw today on the stream from, and Fan Team, which is a betting fantasy football site where you put some money down, and then if you win, you get a lot of money back. So do feel free to check them out as well. Check out all the other links in the description as well, but most importantly, if you have enjoyed this stream, do hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you are told of all other live streams. I'm not necessarily going to announce them before I do them, purely because sometimes stuff happens with my daughters and I just cannot get on, but I will try and get on whenever I can and they don't mess it up. But I love them, even though they do mess up my streams sometimes, I do love them. So guys, all that being said, I've been JNO, this has been FPL Today. Remember, it's all about the game.